All right, we should probably start recording.
Okay, so what do I need to do? Okay, I can get to that later. I do need kind of an intro real fast, though. Blah, 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 blah. What are we talking about? Watch Dogs, talking about Evolve. Okay, hang on. I've got an idea there.
Milkshake.
No, not what
Brings.
I was if I had more time, I could, do this really well. Okay.
That's what she said.
This is Epic Battle Cry Skirmish 223. Gimme, gimme, gimme.
Hello and welcome to Epic Battle Cry. This is the place where we cut through the crap to bring you the real deal on the gaming industry today. I'm your host, Tony Grice, and with me, as always, is Brent Adams and Daniel Kaiser. Brent, how you doing this week, man?
What's up? My Darwins of destruction! My Huxleys of horror! How art thou?
Nice. An evolution-themed intro as we get set to talk about a new game. Very, very creative. I like that.
We've changed up the show. We're talking about serious social topics now, and so it's all about evolution this week.
Evolution versus creationism. You're like,
that's right, and we're going to debate complete mental cases about it.
Bill Nye the Science Guy over here debating. There you go. I get it. I like it.
That's awesome, man. How's parenting treating you? How's being a daddy treating you?
Parenting's treating me very, very well. Everything is great. Z's just, she's just a basket case full of awesome. And
it's probably because she's always in a basket.
Well,
it's in a case.
I mean, you can't possibly. I mean, you can't let them out into the world. You have to protect them for all time inside of a glass bubble from which they will never escape.
Yeah.
Is that why you were asking me about who Schroeder's cat was the other day? DK, how about yourself? How you doing this week, man?
I'm doing great, TG, in 3... Damn it! I'm doing great, TG... Damn it!
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. I am. Look, I went on eBay. I got a great deal on this phone that had Flappy Birds pre-installed. Damn it!
Foiled again.
I just can't get past that third pipe. But anyway, aside from that, I'm doing great.
You can make it to the third pipe?
I can. That's what she said.
I've heard other people say that, but under an entirely different context.
But to answer your question, I'm doing great and ready for another strong episode 223 of EBC. It rhymes with
one another.
Me.
Pretty much nothing, actually.
Nothing. So there you go.
All right. Well, it is good to hear from both of you guys. And let's go ahead and run through the gauntlet.
Gauntlet!
All right, guys, we are here in the gauntlet, and the first story we're going to talk about this week is having seen now the first footage from the next game from the developers of Left 4 Dead. DK, how's Evolve looking?
Pretty awesome, actually. So this game was announced not too long ago, and you'll remember comically that, pre-orders came out for the game before. Now, this is the time to issue pre-orders now that you've seen the game. But anyway, this game was, as you mentioned, it's in development by the team behind Left 4 Dead, Turtle Rock Studios. It was announced on the cover of Game Informer. We got the pre-order kind of interestingness that happened not too long ago. But just this past week, we finally got to see the game in action as a slew of media hit the internet. We got walkthroughs and previews and actually got to see this thing in action. And of course, for those unfamiliar, Evolve is, in the spirit of Left 4 Dead. It's a first-person shooter, but it's where 4 hunters stalk one giant monster who continually evolves, and it's a player-controlled monster. So the media that we've seen thus far has kind of showcased the differences in the gameplay styles, also the variance in the characters, as you are, the medic or the trapper or the more aggressive types or whatnot. So we've got a really good look at Evolve thus far, though there's still a lot of questions to be answered in terms of gameplay types and how they'll keep this scenario, which seems amazing in what we've seen thus far, but how they'll, keep it running, keep it fresh. Yeah. Exactly. So what are your guys' opinions on the debut footage, and do you think that they will in fact be able to create more than just a kind of passing trend here with the gameplay modes in Evolve?
I certainly hope so, because there's a few things about this that I'm really excited by. Number one, I I love the idea of basically getting the player involved in what might be a player versus AI situation. I've always been fascinated by that paradigm, and it's one of those things that I've sat around and daydreamed about, and thought about things like I can remember one afternoon while I was playing the first Uncharted way back in the day, and I was thinking about what would it be like if you could create a multiplayer game out of this scenario. 'Cause, Uncharted is just you running through these environments and shooting a bunch of AI players. And I was thinking about, what if there was another player on the other side of the coin who was like playing almost like a real-time strategy game.
So you're trying to take credit for their idea.
Yes, exactly. And they were, like the other player, like you were playing Uncharted, but the other player was responsible for like dropping in like all of the different kinds of troops and things that you were going to encounter, the bad guys that you were encountering as you went through the levels, and they were playing like an entirely different game that felt very different, but it had its own story for them, and it was just like this thing that I was thinking
like
about.
Battlefield has now, yeah.
Basically. I've always been fascinated by that concept, though. I've always been fascinated by the idea of taking what might normally be a single-player game and finding a way to make a multiplayer game out of it, finding a way to create gameplay that works, like two styles of gameplay that work against each other to a satisfying experience for both people involved, without it being just a simple, 8-on-8 deathmatch or something like that. So right. I'm very, very intrigued by what Evolve has to offer. I think that it looks very good. I think that the game modes that they've discussed so far and the mechanics sound like they'd be fun, compelling, and would really offer something in terms of gameplay. And obviously, the team behind it, having come from Left 4 Dead, has got a good track record in this regard, and I think that if anybody is going to be able to crack this, it'll be them. So I'm very eager to play this and see if it is actually as fun as it seems to be, as it appears to be.
It definitely from this first trailer, first gameplay we're seeing from it. I think it does look amazing. I do have a couple of questions. I mean, we're still pretty early on and things, so I'm not too worried about it. But like the gameplay from the perspective of the four protagonists or whatever going against the one monster, I kind of get that. You're the whatever, you're the weapon hunter, or you're the whatever.
Until
you're going
you
after
become the hunted.
And but I guess from like a storyline perspective, I'm trying to say. So is it just the point of the monster to survive? They sort of show that mode where if it goes into like a to the end of the match and it's a draw or whatever, there's like another mode where the monster has to like crash,
destroy the science
something.
lab.
Yeah, but it just kind of makes me wonder what that sort of drive is for it to do in the meantime. I mean, is it just try to kill and take out those people or what? So,
to try to evolve fast.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it looks.
Is it about staying alive as long as you can? Is it about just?
Are you wondering if that's going to be fun or not? Is what you're saying?
I guess. I guess what I'm saying is that it? If that is all it is just it's just to evolve and survive the end of the match. Okay, all right. But I just wonder if there's a little more to it. Like, is there going to be any other kind of because they do show the one moment of evolution. Is there going to be like certain things like if you evolve 5 times before they catch you, then you win automatically, or if you do, like, is there? I don't know. Is there just certain other aspects? Like, can you escape the world that you're in? Because he shows them throwing up that like bubble that sort of kind of locks you down.
Yeah,
which
trapped.
I do love, like the whole kind of. It almost has like a. It's like a Ghostbusters kind of feel of like you got the traps that you set down stuff. I don't know. It looks very interesting. So I'm not worried
I think
about
graphically speaking too, it looks great.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
My only thing is, there is very defined. It seems like there's very defined roles for both the 4 hunters and the creature itself. So I'm just curious, like what that. Are there going to be opportunities where it's like more fun to do one thing than other, and every time you start a match, balance? It's going to be like, oh, I don't want to be the monster this time, or is it going to be balanced out enough to where people just enjoy being whatever?
Yeah.
Or you're going to have specialists, like you might, when I play shooters, I like to be, use a sniper rifle and kind of stay back and pick people off. So there's defined kind of.
Like to camp.
Yeah, I like to camp. But
I'm just playing. I do too.
But I'm just wondering how that will play out and if they can make all of those various roles compelling. But the game looks beautiful and seems like an interesting premise. So hopefully they'll do a good job with it.
Yeah. So far it's evolving very nicely. All right. Next up, something Something I know a lot of people are looking forward to is we're getting closer and closer to getting an actual release date for Watch Dogs. Well, for some
after,
systems.
I don't know. I mean,
after the other ones.
Yes.
You say that, but...
Brent, what's the new news? What's the new Watch Dogs news this week?
All right, well, I'd love to tell you that there actually is some Watch Dogs news, but basically it's the most vague and loosely defined of release windows. Ubisoft has confirmed that Watch Dogs is coming sometime this year during the company's first fiscal quarter, which will run April through June.
So that's a 3-month window. I mean,
That's good.
It's a 3-month window that starts in 2 months. And so, like the thing to keep in mind here is that if the game could conceivably come out in April, wouldn't they know it by now?
Yeah.
So I
Let's
don't
be honest.
know.
If they're giving a 3-month window, you could probably bet it's going to be near the end of that 3 months. I don't think.
Once again, this comes back to the whole thing that we talk about again and again and again. Why make this announcement? Why announce it? Why announce it?
Well,
because
it's part of a bigger
2 months away
announcement.
from it.
Yeah.
It's part of a bigger announcement in which the Wii U version is screwed.
Yeah.
And in fairness, that's true. Yes, in fairness, that's true. Probably the real news here, if you're on the Wii U, is that the game is...
You're not getting it. Let's just be honest.
You're not getting
It's
it.
not coming out on the Wii U anymore.
Basically, the Wii U version has been pushed back, and there's been all kinds of... there's speculation on, just how well supported it's going to be. And, there's been third-party Wii U titles that have been canceled. I think that there's at least some fear and concern that this might happen. But officially speaking, the Wii U version has been pushed back and will be coming out...
after that window.
In the future sometime.
You're not getting a 3-month release window on that. You're not getting jack shit. It's coming out later, and
Now
we'll
you
have to
appreciate
kind of
that
see what
3-month
says.
window, don't you? At least you got some idea.
Isn't this just pointless in a sense?
Well-
I mean, isn't it just pointless to keep announcing these non-specific release dates? It's like, just don't say anything until you know the day.
Is it pointless? Absolutely. They really would be better off just teasing it. This world of Watch Dogs is so big, they could just keep us the carrot going forever with just like, we're going to release a trailer about the cars or whatever and just keep people interested. And when you have a friggin' release date, just say it and release it, because there's nothing good that comes out of saying a release date and then having to delay it. If there's any chance that it could be delayed, I don't understand why these companies keep doing that. But that being said, to me,
They only hurt themselves.
the biggest loser in all this is Nintendo, because once again, the Wii U is the red-headed bastard child of the video games in terms of, from Ubisoft's perspective. Let's not forget what happened with Rayman, and now Ubisoft, their exact quote saying they made the, quote, difficult decision to further delay the release of Watch Dogs on Wii U to focus on the team's resources where they could have the broadest possible benefit for both our customers and Ubisoft, meaning nobody cares about Wii U, nobody has a Wii U.
There's not enough systems out there to make it worth it for them right now.
Exactly.
I mean,
so that's bad news for Nintendo, because that is a chicken or egg type of paradigm that they are in, and unless they get companies like Ubisoft saying, we are going to ensure that our game is going to be day and date that brings your platform up to relevance, it's quickly becoming irrelevant.
Yeah, it's definitely not good news, especially for such a high profile title. It gave me a little kind of hope when Watch Dogs was coming out that it was still going to be delivered on the previous generation platforms, because let's be honest, the Wii U shares the most in common with that platform. So you sort of thought like, okay, well, it'll when they're doing the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, they'll some resources will be going to that, and even that is kind of like, look, we really need to focus on these just a little bit more. So it is a little disconcerting if you're looking forward to that on the Wii U. But
it's like getting a phone call saying that, I'm sorry, I can't pick you up for the prom because I got to get these other chicks and we're gonna run out of gas. And you're sitting there all dressed up like, what's going on? It's bad.
Yeah, it reminds me more of a scene from Carrie when you actually drive by the person's house who you were going to be picking up. But anyway, it is.
And then
We
later
know
they
how
set
that
you on
ended.
fire.
Exactly. So that's the story here is Ubisoft. You better
Don't
watch
get
out.
set on
Nintendo is
fire
going
by
to kill you.
Ubisoft.
Yes.
All right, so next up we have also a little bit of sad news if you were looking for a certain game on a certain platform. It looks like there's going to be a little bit of a delay for the 360 version of Titanfall. DK, what's the reasoning here?
As everyone knows, March 11th is the date that Titanfall is shipping. It's shipping now for the Xbox One and PC on that date, and will be coming to the Xbox 360 on March 25th in North America, so 2 weeks later, and March 28th in Europe. And one must wonder if this isn't a strategic move to maybe help boost Xbox One console sales if they know there's going to be a 2-week window in which you'll have access to the title on the new platform. Of course, Microsoft is going way out of their way. We had recent reports of the updates for the Xbox One that are literally being called, preparing for Titanfall type of updates, in which they're bringing different features and functionality on the multiplayer sets to the platform in preparation for this game. So I don't know if that plays into it, but it does mean that if you have not stepped up to the Xbox One yet, and you are an Xbox 360 owner exclusively, you'll have to wait a few extra weeks to get your hand on Titanfall.
Brent, how do you feel about that?
It's only a 2-week delay, and let's be honest. I mean, this game is probably one of the best reasons to have bought an Xbox One to begin with. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily the end of the world. If it were a longer delay, maybe I'd feel differently. If it were delay on the Xbox One as opposed to the 360, maybe I'd feel differently. I understand that that more people own 360s than Xbox Ones. But I don't know. I don't think in the long run it's going to hurt the game all that much. If I'm honest, I think there's enough excitement for Titanfall. I think that there's enough interest in this being the new franchise, the new game from Respawn. And I have to say that I think that once everybody has the game after that 2-week window, I don't think anybody cares about it.
I think to Daniel's point, I think if the difference in time was like 2 weeks is right at about the point where I could conceivably see some people that were planning on getting an Xbox One, but maybe not just yet, kind of being like, all right, crap, I really want to play this. Maybe I'll just go ahead and do it. I don't really think it would turn many people around. I think, to be brutally honest, there's only one reason this is happening, is because the 360 version is not being developed in-house, is not being ported over to the Xbox 360 by Respawn. It's being done by Bluepoint, I believe.
Yeah.
So it is a third. Basically, the creators of the game are doing the PC and Xbox One versions, and so I think any time that there is a difference between, hey, okay, here's the resources, there you go, make it work for this system, there's always going to be a little bit of a gap, and I think they probably just ran into a situation where they were running up against the clock. They're not going to push the release date back for all of the systems, because I think this is just too big of a release for them. I think it's just like, hey, we are sorry. Hey, it is going to be out on PC. It is going to be out on Xbox One. Frankly, those are probably going to be the best experiences of the game anyway. And hey, for 360 fans, we're not letting you down. It's going to be out just a little bit later, and 2 weeks really isn't too bad.
The only issue, though, is, as you guys said, there's a larger install base for the Xbox 360 than the Xbox One at the moment. And if people aren't going to convert and buy a new console and upgrade, then you're leaving a large market segment that is going to be susceptible to all of the reviews and reactions. So your game better be great. And what I mean by that is, everyone knows all of these brands, all of these publishers, they capitalize on the hype. They embargo reviews of their games until launch day for a reason, because they want you buying it based on hype as opposed to information
reviews
and opinion. So they lose that now with the Xbox 360 audience, because the reviews are all going to hit. The hype is going to be there. If your friends play it for a week and are like, it's good, but it's not the best thing in the world.
Well, but I think that works the other way too, though.
Percentage.
They play it for 2 weeks and are like, this game is fucking awesome. You have to get it. Like, I mean, I think that number, that actual percentage. Now, I mean, granted, if the game comes out and is fatally flawed, like it's, well, frankly, if it came out and had sort of the same kind of launch of, like, say, Battlefield 4, like where it really had a lot of issues, I could see that affecting the sales. But to be honest, the alphas and everything have seemed to go really, for the most part, seem to have gone pretty smoothly. So I think the game is going to come out relatively, successfully.
And it's just 6 on 6. How hard can it be?
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, there's a bunch of other, other bots in the game, so obviously there's a need for more people to be in the map. But whatever.
Obviously.
The whole point though is that I think that works in a balancing way. There's probably a few people that might see a review that sort of turns them off just a little, like, oh, yeah, so yeah, somebody mentioned this, and I'm not too crazy about that. But then there's just as many people that see all of the Twitch feeds and all of the YouTube videos of people just, having a blast that may have been like, it looks pretty cool and I might get it, to now frothing at the mouth. And frankly, maybe even going kind of the route you sort of suggested of being like, I'm just going to go ahead and get it on the one, So,
yeah.
I think Brent is right. I don't think it's going to hurt anything in the long run. They will still have plenty of cash being thrown at their face, I'm sure, for this game.
Yes.
All right, so another company that is hoping to have cash thrown at its face is Activision with their next game from one of the premier developers of all time, Bungie. And Brent, what are they what kind of expectations do they have for Destiny?
Pretty goddamn high, as it turns out.
As in, the best ever.
In a conference call, recently Activision's legendary, some would say infamous
My name
boss,
is Bobby
Kotick, says that they expect Destiny to be one of the best-selling video games of all time. Kotick says, quote, "We expect Bungie's Destiny, an innovative shared world first-person action game, to be Activision Publishing's next billion-dollar franchise. We expect Destiny will become the best-selling new video game IP in history," end quote. So setting the bar pretty high. Could work out. Sometimes when you give people an impossible goal and basically force them to reach it through torturous means, things, really good things can happen. You get the iPhone. Sometimes you set the bar really high and people do really great things, and then you shit all over them for it, like Square Enix, for example. What do you guys think? Do you think that Kotick is just acknowledging that we all kind of expect Destiny to be a really big game, and that this is just kind of, he's talking to, he's talking to business types, he's talking to,
exactly.
the press
Consider
or investors,
exactly.
Those kinds of things, and this is just hyperbole, this is just good salesmanship. Or do you think that that maybe he's kind of setting them up for disappointment if they can't reach this really, really aggressive goal?
I think it's a combination. I think when you're considering the audience, his goal during this conference call is to get investors excited, to increase investment, to get people behind Activision. He knows that they have a great IP on their hands, and he also knows that they have the pedigree of Bungie. He sees the combination of these things, and I, for one, will definitely be picking this game up day one. But beyond that, you need a lot of people, a lot of fence sitters. You need a lot of things to happen in order to reach those goals. And I think one of the big things to consider here is that a company like Activision, with its size and scope, actually can steer that conversation and dictate a lot of those goals because they are so big. They have a lot of leverage. They have a lot of power to influence marketing, to influence positioning within stores, to influence how big the perception of what Bungie is amongst consumers, and consumers will generally respond to that through purchases and word of mouth and whatnot as well. So if their job is to create a lot of hype around this game. They are a marketing machine in doing that. They understand what they have at their disposal, and there's a lot of elements to work with. So the pieces of the puzzle are there to justify what he said. It comes down to whether or not this is a great game, and if it will, that's not an achievable goal out of the gate to be $1 billion franchise. They have to do that over time, but
sure.
I think they're planning on 10 years for this one, so
so they're giving themselves
have plenty
enough
of time to rack that cash up.
Yeah, but I personally, I'm just excited for the game. I want to play the game, and hopefully it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean the game definitely looks good. I think it was kind of interesting, the fact that, and a lot of people are kind of making at least some news, the fact that they are saying new IP. I think that's already sort of hedging their bet just a tiny bit against the huge franchises that have themselves taken years to kind of grow to the point that they are. I do think that Destiny is going to have a really good shot at doing exactly what he says. I think the as good, like for all the people that are not necessarily Bungie devotees or even like Halo devotees that are sort of looking forward to the next game coming from this company, those people I think are already sold. You didn't really need to do anything else. But the game is really appealing to all of the other people that weren't necessarily in that same boat.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this is really too much of a stretch.
Multi-platform, cross-generational. It's got a lot going for it.
Exactly. So I don't think that he's really stepping out too far when he says this. But at the same time, it will be impressive to see if they do end up doing that very thing.
Yep.
And if they don't, they suck.
It just wasn't their destiny.
All right, guys. Well, we are here in the main topic this week, and something that has come up here recently that I think people were starting to get maybe a little more excited about is that we finally got the announcement that we are going to be getting the new PS Vita Slim edition here in the United States. And it looks like we're going to get it with a little bonus that maybe some of us didn't totally expect to come with that. DK, you want to kind of take us down the PS Vita news and announcements?
Yeah, so we've had the slim version of the PS Vita that was announced, and it was in Japan. Then they announced it for the UK, and now we finally got word that it is actually coming to North America this spring. We don't have an exact date, but we know that it's coming in spring. It's PCH 2000 is the model number. It's 15% lighter, 20% thinner. Has an LCD screen instead of the
OLED.
OLED, and has improved battery life and 1 gigabyte of internal.
That you can't use if you have a memory card. Stupid idea. Sorry.
Right. But in addition to that, we also learned about the PlayStation Vita Borderlands 2 bundle, which is obviously a very, very tantalizing thing for someone like me who skipped Borderlands 2 and has been looking forward to the opportunity to play, and I think I might just be doing it on a Vita. But anyway, we know about Borderlands 2 and it finally coming alongside the PS Vita Slim this spring. In addition, we do get word that the God of War collection is coming to PS Vita. That, of course, includes God of War 1 and God of War 2. But for the more sneaky and less brutal gamer amongst you, the Sly Cooper collection is also coming to the Vita. That includes Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly 2, Band of Thieves, and Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. So those are coming. God of War Collection is coming on May 6th for $29.99, and May 27th is the release date for the Sly Collection, although we don't have a price confirmed just yet. So what do you guys think? There's a lot of news surrounding Vita, been a lot of hype, a lot of really good games coming out for the platform. Is this finally time to get a life?
I think
life isn't Vita.
I think yes, we know. Let's not indulge
just make
him,
it sure.
All right. I think that if what's holding you back from getting a Vita is I have no room in my life for a handheld console, then no, nothing about this announcement changes that. If what's been holding you back from the Vita is
what if you need like 15% less space to own one?
Right.
If it was just 20%,
if it's 20% lighter, I could totally see myself using it.
If what's been holding you back is I don't think that there's enough awesome sequels to massively popular game franchises on the Vita, then you've officially lost that excuse, because between Borderlands 2, God of War 2, and Sly Cooper 2, you have the salacious sequel supremacy or something. But you do. You have like a trifecta of part 2s that will literally blow your eyelids right through your brain.
Yeah,
or something. And my point is that these are fantastic games. If content is what's been keeping you back from the Vita, that excuse is rapidly losing ground, because there are fantastic games on the Vita already, and there are more coming. I'm a huge fan of the God of War series, as we all know. God of War 1 and 2 still probably my favorite in the series so far. God of War 2, my opinion, high watermark of the series. The Sly Cooper trilogy that's going to be out on the Vita. Again, Sly Cooper 2, in my opinion, the best of the series, but all three of those games absolutely fantastic. Borderlands 2, one of the best games of the last console generation. A fantastic title that comes intact with its 4-player co-op and most of the DLC. Although I think the Tiny Tina DLC would have been that would have been good too, because I haven't played it, but I've heard very good things. My point is this, though. These are fantastic quality experiences that you're gonna be able to take with you on the go. If you've got Borderlands 2 on the PlayStation 3, you've got the cross-platform save functionality. You can play the game here. You can take your Vita with you, and you can pick up right where you left off, save, come back, play it on your system at home. Would that have been a better feature and a better game to have on the Vita back when Borderlands 2 came out? Sure, yeah, I think we can all agree with that. But that doesn't change the fact that for anybody who maybe hasn't played Borderlands 2 yet, or anybody who wants to revisit it, this would be a great excuse to do it. And Borderlands 2 is a gorgeous game. It looked fantastic on a PlayStation Vita screen.
Yeah.
I really do
think... And the bundle's $200, which is pretty reasonable.
I mean, it's a great price for all of this stuff. So I really do think that if this does not convince you that the Vita is a console that you want to have, then it's just not. There's probably nothing that's ever going to do it. This is probably just not a console that is ever going to be your jam. And I mean, that's fine. That's totally cool. But I do think that Sony is finally kind of getting the Vita into the place that we all wish they'd been 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good time. I think I would almost argue that this time started really with the release of the PS4. That's really when, frankly, they sort of saw the future for the Vita. And I'm not just saying because of its connectivity with, playing PS4 games, but just it's kind of like they saw where it sort of fits in their realm. They're like, look, we're going to have this great experience you can have with remote play. Plus, we're also going to be bringing our really successful franchises to the system. Every once in a while, you're going to get a really cool indie game that is available in some cases only on the Vita. They kind of, I think, have finally found the footing for the Vita, and frankly, the price point has finally kind of hit that good price point. Once they drop the price of the system down to $200. And the one thing I would really say is right now might be the best time to pick up a Vita, and I'm not necessarily sure the best one to pick up is this bundle coming out. Because to be honest with you, you can pick up the current Vita, which has an OLED screen, which a lot of people kind of, I think, really treat that as like one of the most defining features of the system. Like that OLED screen really, it's just amazing. I was talking to Brent the other day about how excited I am to see Borderlands 2 on this screen, just because of how colorful the game is, how rich the world is. I can't wait to see it on that screen. Now, the version that has the LCD screen, I'm sure is fine. And frankly, to be honest with you, if you didn't have anything else to compare it to, I don't think anybody would even have one single problem with it. But I would almost argue that right now, look around. I think I saw today somebody has a Vita running for $175 with the current OLED screen, and I actually physically like the look of the current unit where it's got that flat kind of glass front as opposed to having sort of the kind of blocked off screen kind of look of the new model. So just personal preference. But if you really wanted to, now is a great time because you can get the system even cheaper, and then when Borderlands 2 comes out down the road, you can pick that up. As well. So I mean, there's great. The thing I love is just if you want this system, there's really no better time to buy it in the next over the next couple months.
Yeah, and I'm going to be buying one. I mean, I've kind of held off on stuff, but it's just been interesting. We all, to go back to our first story, we all evolve and things change, and I've kind of found it's kind of sad, but I really don't play my Xbox One like hardly at all. I mean, like there's I've only been a few times I've played it because I'm waiting on things. I'll play Thief on it when it comes out. I'm looking forward to some Titanfall as well. Yep. I'm gonna play Destiny on it. But there's literally like
Netflix
a game
is good on it.
Yeah, it is. There's literally like a game a month or every couple of months over this next year that I'm looking forward to playing on the Xbox One. When I bought my 3DS, it really kind of took me back and introduced like a whole new dimension, like because
you had like 2 years worth of games, like quality games to fall back on, right?
Yeah, to fall back on to play. There's great games, but also just my personal gaming habits, because like I want to play the Xbox One and all that stuff with the great games. I'll do it late at night when the kids are in bed and stuff. But with the DS, it was like it's super accessible, just super easy to play. Yeah. You could take it all around, and I really like that mobile thing and playing it. And so in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this is really great setup to, to go to sleep at night and play in my bed and then just, I'm done and like put it down or whatever. Doing that with the PS Vita is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to doing that with games like Borderlands. It's a perfect storm for me because I missed out on Borderlands 2. So now
really
I get
hope
to try
this,
it.
because it is a port, it is, and it's being done not by Gearbox. So I mean, my only fear is that the port comes out and it's maybe not as good as it could be, or the frame rate's really low or something. But I really have high hopes because that game, I seriously, I go back to play Borderlands every so often just to jump back in that world. It's such a great game.
And for $200, I mean, I think that's a really good deal.
Yeah.
Is there anything negative about this though? Does Sony need to do more at E3, or have they already done their job?
Oh yeah, you should not buy a Vita.
Yeah.
Did it sound like we were suggesting you should buy one?
Because fuck that. I think that
Microsoft's not going to pay us, guys, if we.
Oh crap! That's true.
We've got to get these two entities working against each other if we ever want. I think that if Sony, I think that this is a good deal. It's a good bundle. It's a good game, and there's more good games coming out in May. As we talked about, but you can't rest on your laurels. If Sony really wants to get people interested in this, they've got to keep supporting the Vita. They've got to keep coming out with content. They need to start getting these kinds of experiences going with PlayStation 4 games, because I think this is about the last year that you're going to really be able to get people excited about something like cross-platform compatibility between the Vita and the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 4 is here, and there's an expiration date on that kind of thing. So if Sony really wants to kind of capitalize on some of the momentum that they've been building, as we talked about, they've got to keep doing this, and E3 could be the place to do it. E3 could be the opportunity for them to say, okay, the PlayStation 4 has been out for 7 months, 8 months, whatever, and it's awesome, and you all know it's awesome, and here's the games that we've come out with that everybody loves so much, and there's more on the way. Here's the slew of games that are coming out on the PlayStation Vita that are going to work with all of these great PlayStation 4 games that you've played. Here's the experiences that you're going to be able to have in, I don't know, Drive Club or whatever. That's going to work on the Vita, that you're going to be able to take that with you. You're going to be able to have this unique game experience on the Vita that's going to tie into some of our most popular franchises. They got to do that kind of stuff. They've got to keep pushing, and they've got to keep innovating. They've got to keep giving people a reason to be excited about the Vita, whether that's people that already own the Vita like me and are on the lookout for new games to play on it, or people like Daniel who are starting to come around and think about the Vita. Give them a reason to dive in, get that, and to start buying games on it. So I don't think that this alone is any kind of victory. Or anything like that, but it
puts them in the right direction.
Keep going. Yeah, I mean, they're on the right path, but they really, really need to lay some dirt down now.
Well, and really, I think one of the things is the one flaw, or the biggest flaw I think of the Vita currently is sort of the unique gaming experience that you can have on the Vita. Because frankly, right now, some of the best games on it are games that are out on other consoles or are available in lots of other ways. I mean, even though the system is great, some of its biggest games are ports of other games. And frankly, we just now were talking about how it's great news, and I'm looking forward to it. But I mean, we're talking about a port of a year-old game, two HD remakes of even older games. I do think that there is something to be said for. They have done a pretty good job of sort of some of the JRPGs and some of the sort of quirky games that are coming out of Japan for the Vita, and frankly, some of these games that are not coming to like the 3DS platform. Sony's been doing a little bit better job of getting them out. There's that Dragon Appa or whatever that's coming out today, actually, or as we're recording this. Like, there's some cool experiences that are only available on the Vita that I think they need to put a little more focus on, because I think you really do. It's like, are you just selling a system that lets you play games that you have already played before, but now you can take them with them, or
that's why they call it a portable device.
Well, Or are you doing just that? I mean, is that the only thing you're doing? You know, I mean, the whole point is you want to have some reason that you can only do it on that. And I'm not talking about like things that use the back touchscreen uniqueness. I'm talking about just games that are only on the Vita or versions of them that are only on the Vita. So I do hope to see this E3 we see a couple of new IPs or at least refreshes. Like, I mean, let's say they port Gran Turismo over to the Vita, let's just say. I mean, I know it won't gonna happen, but if they do that, it can't just be a port of GT6 over to the Vita. They have to bring some aspect of it. It's got to have some new modes or some new vehicles that are exclusive to that platform or whatever. Like, there's got to be something that just sort of makes it a little more special instead of just saying, like, you know, hey, remember how you really liked playing that game last year? Want to take it with you? You know, I mean, it can't be like that can't be it every single time.
Yeah, they can't steal Nintendo's strategy.
Well, does Nintendo bring out the old games every time, or do they put a fresh coat of paint on them?
No,
I mean, let's be honest. Like, in fairness, because I do think that's a very fair criticism. But at least each game is somewhat new. I mean, it's not just the same
their new
game.
games are the best. I mean, like I look forward to Nintendo's, like when the Mario Galaxy games come out, the Zelda game. You know they're going to be quality. I think they're probably not able to be accused of that. I was just being funny.
Not very though.
All right, guys. Well, we are coming up near the end of this week's skirmish, but first we have our battle cries of the week, and my battle cry is going to go out to it's just one of my absolute favorite pieces of current gaming. It's one of the things that
sounds exciting.
I didn't used to have to do this back in the day with gaming, and now that I get to, it's just like, man, cool. I just love it. And that's fucking like really updating something every 2 seconds. This month, I have, like in the last 2 weeks, I have had to update my 3DS. I've had to update the PS3. I've had to update the PS4. And now I've got 2 incoming updates for the Xbox One. Now, having gotten off my soapbox, every time that I want, like every time I'm in a hurry and I want to go do something, it makes me, it just happens to be the day that I got to update. But anyway, I am actually excited about these particular updates coming out for the Xbox One. We are finally, about 3 months after the system has been released, finally getting features such as knowing what your battery life of your controller is.
Yay!
A feature that, frankly, I don't even know why they're adding. Why would you want to know that? Then, being very facetious, then one of the other add-ons is something I am personally could not believe it was not added in to begin with, but is now going to be there in this first update, is seeing your system storage and being able to control, like, deleting or getting rid of parts. You know, I think I told you guys when I first got the Xbox One, I had an issue with Battlefield 4 that I could not fix on the system. Like, I literally had to do a full format of the whole system just to make it work. And now with things like this, that shouldn't be a problem. So anyway, it's not out today. It was supposed to be out today as we're recording. It looks like it's going to be about a week off. And then we'll see another update coming out a few weeks after that, right before Titanfall. That's going to enable like some of the new Xbox headsets, and Microsoft has also announced a add-on for the controller to add third-party headsets to it. So I got to be honest, this next couple weeks leading up to Titanfall, the Xbox One is really, I think, finally starting to kind of come into its own. They're starting to finally fix a lot of the little nagging problems that they have, and I give them credit that, in all seriousness, it has only taken them a couple months to, get that to that point. Probably should have been that way before they released it, but anyway, good on them. All right.
But who's holding a grudge?
I mean, who's holding a grudge? I just no longer have to send that package to them that I was going to.
An $80 headset you can buy for the Xbox One. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's what I just talked about. If you'd listen. Yeah. I just mentioned it. But anyway, DK, what is your battle cry for this week?
Okay, so my battle cry this week, TG and 3D, goes out to Ubisoft and the upcoming and very stellar-looking Child of Light, Give Me, Give Me, Give Me. We recently found out, this game was announced at E3. No, it's just Child of Light. The Gimme, Gimme, Gimme is for the DLC.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we did find out that this game is coming to the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Wii U, hopefully, PC via Steam.
Let's not commit to it.
Let's not commit just yet because it is coming from Ubisoft, so you never know. But anyway, we did find out that it's coming April 30th at the bargain basement price of $14.99, which I'm really excited about. Hopefully not indicative of the game's quality or length. But anyway, $15. Child of Light looks fantastic. I'm ready to buy it, so take my money. And I think this game looks fantastic, and I'm super stoked about it. Immediately upon hearing this announcement, I moved it into like the second or third spot on Fave's list of most anticipated games for me because I'm that excited about it. And what do you guys think? Is it something you're excited about as well? I mean, it's got my battle cry this week, but I'm interested to know if you're interested in it.
It looks great. I think the game actually looks gorgeous. I've seen some of the footage from it. I was looking forward to playing on the Wii U, and that's obviously not going to happen.
I'm not really familiar with it. I haven't been following it all that much. So this is the first time hearing of it.
Cool.
The one thing I love about
I think you'll like it.
The one thing I love, Ubisoft is one of those few companies too that I think really appreciates hand-drawn art. I mean, there are games out there. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I think they really, dude. If Rayman, the most recent Rayman, was it Origins? Is that right?
Yeah, Origins, I can't remember. Is it
Rayman
Origins or Legends?
Legends. I'm sorry. They're not good at making titles because that's stupid. No, I'm just joking. But anyway, I do really appreciate that, and that's one of the things I like. Is this game visually appeals to me on that level alone very much.
Yeah. Yes. So that's my battle cry. Child of Light. Go pick it up in April.
And then
unless you have a Wii U
for the DLC down the road.
Yes, correct.
All right, Brent Adams.
Yep.
Do you have a thought on your battle cry
I do.
this week?
I have a thought. I have a couple of thoughts about some recent news concerning the Batman Arkham franchise series of games and other things, as we'll find out in just a second. First off, there was a story from last week talking about how the development team behind Batman Arkham Origins is hard at work on the game's upcoming DLC. Not so hard at work on fixing some of the game-breaking bugs still plaguing the title. Batman Arkham Origins is a great game. It's a really, really fun game that is terribly, terribly flawed by some really, really serious bugs. And there are a lot of people that are upset and concerned that the team is concentrating on the DLC, which obviously I understand why they want to do that, because they're going to make money off that DLC, and so there's a financial incentive there to do so. But I think that they're going to find that it's kind of hard to sell people on that DLC if the game itself is still suffering from all of these problems. And I experienced a number of them back when I played the game. I still ranked it very, very highly because despite those issues, I had a great time playing it. But it's one of those titles that I always wanted to come back to somewhere down the road and play after all of these, after these patches had come out that had fixed the game and really.
A little while.
Yeah, well, and that's, it may not happen at all.
Just buy the DLC first, and then they'll fix it. There was a post, from one of the devs, I believe on the game's official forums, that basically just said, look, we're working on the DLC, and maybe we'll get to those bugs, maybe we won't. But
basically saying how can you expect us to afford to fix the bugs if you don't buy the DLC?
Right.
Well, in not so many words. So
we're reaching out to you. We need your help. Support us, and we'll fix the game you already bought.
But this is the quote. This is from the team. This is from Mercury. This is for the community manager. Went on the forums and said, quote, "The team is currently working hard on the upcoming story DLC, and there are currently no plans for releasing another patch to address the issues that have been reported on the forums." He continues, "If we do move forward with creating a new patch, it will try to address the progression blocking bugs for players, not the minor glitches that do not prevent one from continuing play. The issues that are not progression blockers will unfortunately no longer be addressed." So, it sounds as though, and admittedly, this is the community manager.
That is pretty
This is,
blunt.
this is not like Warner Brothers Montreal, but at the same time, it certainly feels as though they are washing their hands of the title at this point, and I think that's really sad because it's a great game in theory. And if those things were addressed, I could say that without qualification. So I think that it's a mistake to let that situation go unaddressed. And I would certainly call out Warner Brothers Montreal and encourage them to do something about it. Now, the other bit of news, real quickly, is that apparently Batman Arkham, the Arkham franchise, is going to be adapted into one of the DC Direct animated films, one of the DC animated feature films, and supposedly it's going to be out this year. So we don't know a lot about it beyond that at this point. But
will it have any bugs?
It can be. It can be as bug laden as a fucking game is, right? So anyway, it's going to be directed. Notably, it's going to be directed by Jay Olivia, who did Justice League War and also the Batman Dark Knight Returns.
Very cool.
Two-parter that came out.
I just call him Jay.
Last year.
the DC animated stuff is amazing. Frankly, I think like where Marvel rules the live action stuff. I think the DC animated stuff is amazing.
I agree. I think they've done really, really good stuff. I just got that Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition. I saw like parts 1 and 2 when they came out, but I just got that Deluxe Edition Blu-ray. It's really awesome. So anyway,
very cool.
That's a bit of happy news for the Arkham franchise. If Arkham Origins isn't so much of the happy news. At least you've got that.
Could I
prize.
add on one little other bit I just read of Arkham Origins news that I think is kind of neat? The Arkham Origins Blackgate, the portable game.
Yeah, that's coming to Xbox.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were planning that, but it's getting like an HD remake kind of over.
Well, is it confirmed now? Because it was a leak when I read it.
Oh,
there was like
I saw it on Twitter, so
of course it's real.
I don't know how more real you get, but anyway, it's coming to Xbox 360, and I would assume maybe like PSN or something like that at some point. So
right.
Very cool. Very cool.
I wish they'd start putting all these games on the Xbox One too. Like if it's on the Xbox 360, just get it on the. I just want something to play on my Xbox One.
Yeah.
I want to feel like the.
But they never really designed the Xbox One for you to play games on. It was.
That wasn't really.
I know, but the thing you're missing here, Brett. I want to feel like the lack of investment I made in the Xbox One. Because it was given to me.
In fairness, DK, I looked at your profile on Xbox Live, and you have played that. What's it called? Watching TV. You played that game. The Xbox One has all the time.
All the time. Yes.
All right.
I was
DK.
having a conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago, and he was talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm thinking about getting an Xbox One." He's like, well, I really use mine a lot to watch Netflix and Hulu and everything. And I was like, well, that's definitely the console for you then.
Yeah. Hey, I couldn't just sell you a Roku for like $50, could I, to do the same sort of thing? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, DK, I believe you have our member battle cry this week.
I do. It comes from Israel Pacheco. I just wanted to say it like that. And it goes a little something.
Congratulations.
Like this. I think there are a couple of things Nintendo can do to turn things around for the company as a whole. The first one being, as you guys mentioned, bringing their games to mobile platforms. I would like to see two different types of games come to mobile. The first and most obvious being
sounds like a terrible used car salesman.
The first and most obvious being their back catalog of games from consoles such as the NES and SNES, and handhelds such as the GB and GBA. Their games all have simple button configurations that could translate well to a touchscreen. The second type of game, I can't do it like that anymore.
That's great.
The second type of games would be short, bite-sized experiences using their characters like Mario. That way, if you wanted a longer, more fulfilling experience, you can pick up a 3DS or a Wii U.
Well, or at least a 3DS.
Yeah. The second thing Nintendo can do is acquire companies like Sega Sammy and Capcom to expand their first-party exclusives roster. This can fill the gaps between Nintendo's in-house studio releases. Characters like Sonic and Mega Man would appeal to a younger demographic, while series like Resident Evil, Street Fighter, and Persona would appeal to an older demographic. P.S. Nice to hear you guys back. Keep kicking ass in 2014.
Wow.
You sound like that. You sound like that guy from those infomercials that used to run like back in the 90s. Like, you can become a billionaire by placing tiny classified ads in your local newspaper.
I'm wearing a suit jacket right now that has a bunch of question marks on it. Am I in it?
Are you selling a giant book full of links to like places you go and
Yeah, no, but anyway, but we said pretty much everything in that first paragraph. But the second point about acquiring companies and bolstering the first-party roster, that's pretty interesting. I wonder if they would actually pursue that.
I do think that's a good point, although, I think you really have to look at someone like a Capcom or a Sega Sammy and really wonder, because like from their perspective as a company, like, how much are they worth selling to a company like Nintendo versus making multi-platform games across all platforms. Like, I think that it, as much, I mean, a lot's been said about how much money Nintendo has in the bank. I'm not necessarily so sure that they can just start buying up, tons of companies. But hey, let's be honest, if they had all of the exclusives from Sega, Sega Sammy and Capcom, that would start to be a pretty robust first-party exclusive party lineup for for certain platforms. So, there's definitely a good point there. I tell you one thing that just the first point I want to say just real quickly is the fact that he talks about, bringing their back catalog of games. They're struggling to bring their back catalog of games to the virtual console.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There are hundreds of games available in the virtual console. And frankly, if you just look at it on its own, you'd say well, that's actually pretty impressive. They got a pretty good selection. But the whole point of, especially in older games, is one, you want the game you want. And if they don't have, I just don't understand why they don't have the entirety of the NES library, the entirety of the Super Nintendo library, the entirety of the Game Boy library. You should not be able to go there and have a game that you remember from your childhood that is at least, especially the Nintendo-owned games. But even the third-party games, who doesn't want to just put that stuff back up there to start making money? The other thing is how much they charge on their own consoles for the cheapest games. Like a black and white Game Boy game is still $3, and their Super Nintendo games are $9 and $10. They have to start. They really have to get. They have to know what the rest of the world is like.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They have to get in touch with reality.
Yeah.
And it starts with evaluating their audience. As we talked about, the casual consumer that picked up the Wii U is now on mobile. So they really need to analyze what mobile habits are like, what price points are like, what things are like, and just adapt to that. They'll be hugely successful.
Yeah.
But
and you know what? Maybe it does sound like they're so slowly but
adapting.
Maybe starting to come around to that realization. I hope they don't do it too late.
Yep.
All right.
Me too.
Well, that is going to do it for this week's Skirmish. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this week. And please join us once again next week when we will be mercilessly cleaving the fat from the gaming stories of the day. For Daniel Kaiser and Brent Adams, I'm your host, Tony Grice. And remember, cry havoc. And I'm really just worried that next week we'll have news that Nintendo is going to start holding back resources from the Wii U for other platforms.
That would be a tragic irony, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Problem with Nintendo is they need a new leader. They need somebody else that just looks at everything and says, okay, this is working, this is working, this, and this is not. We're starting fresh. We're
the problem. Yes, the problem with Nintendo is that they've basically had one strategy.
Yeah.
And it worked for a while, and it's not working now.
Frankly, it's worked for a long time, but it's just
it's worked for a long time, but it's not working now. And the problem is that the people there only know the one strategy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
you know what they need?
Change.
They need Daniel Kaiser. I need to run Nintendo. That's my new.
I can just hear Daniel giving the press releases for Nintendo from here on out.
This week, Nintendo is excited.
Nintendo's excited to bring you a new Mario game to.
No, but he would totally do it in his god awful Japanese accent.
And you'll really like it.